Hey guys. So I just got my first kit from Creature Caster, and I thought I'd do a bit of a video overview of it. Basically, because before I decided to buy this, I did what I think every reasonable human being does and tried to find some reviews online. It was actually pretty hard to find any kind of good info on how the parts all go together. So I decided now that I have the kit in my hands, why don't I do that myself? Because maybe some other people are looking for that kind of info. So as you can see, I've already got all the parts laid out here. So we're going to skip the unboxing. What I want to show you is how you assemble this thing and where it has seams that you might want to deal with. Because that's really what I was trying to find out when I was looking high and low for info about this kit. Just how does it go together? How does the parts fit? You know, how much putty am I going to need? And yeah, so I'm going to do that here. The short version is though, if you're looking at the pictures on the Creature Caster website and you like what you're seeing there, number one, and number two, if you don't have a problem working with a resin miniature, just get one. It's really good. I'll just tell you this. You can turn off the video right here and go buy one. It's really freaking good. So anyway, you start with the base here, which, word of warning, has a nub here that I made kind of a mess of when I trimmed it off, and now I don't want to sand it anymore because it's just going to result in a bump, because you can see I made this pit here. It also has some pretty bad flash all around, which I wasn't entirely able to clean up without making things worse. The good news is though, plonk. See, I saw a video review, I think it was, from someone else who said his base was warped and he needed to heat it up and bend it, like, and it was apparently a giant pain in the ass to get it to sit flat on the surface. Mine's good, totally good. Also, as you may already know, it has, of course, a Creature Caster logo on the back here. Now, the next thing you do, the first thing you do is that you insert these feet, which just plonk into these holes here in the base, and as you can see, it's a really snug fit around here. I don't see why you would do anything to these. Of course, the one thing I am wondering about is if these surfaces are actually making contact, because otherwise, the glue won't stick, but I guess I'll find out. You can also see, like, basically every part has a little pilot indentation here already. If you wanted to magnetize this, that's nice, I guess. So, the next thing that you do is that you put its lower torso on, preferably not backwards. Yeah, this is the front. Now you can see here, this is where the seam line is, and it's just, if you actually wiggle it in place so that it fits, so there's a small crack here that, now that I look at it, I might want to deal with here, but it's really not a big deal. And also, like, this is sort of inside these folds here, so yeah, it's fine, really. And you're going to be looking at it like this. It's basically invisible. I'm going to put this to the side here so that I can show you how the torso goes together. Now, the torso, here, like, the parts fit is really good. To here you get a bit of a gap. It's fine here. Where you definitely have a gap that I think I'm going to want to deal with is on the back here. This is pretty wide, so this is going to need filling. Here, this is under the arm anyway, so not a big deal. It's what I don't understand is they're usually really good about this, and here they're not doing it. You see there's this strap here. So what they could have done would have been to just not have this, like, 0.5 millimeter of exposed skin here, and just have the strap be the edge of the part, and then you wouldn't see the seam line. But for some reason they didn't. Anyway, that's how the torso goes together. Now, what are we going to do next? Antlers, actually, yeah. You can see here, you get a ton of antler parts. Now, these antlers are, they're probably going to be what you're going to be spending most of your time on, because they have lots and lots of flash. It's like it's the, oh, whoops, look, there's some left here. Um, It's the really thin kind of flash that you can almost get rid of with your fingernail or just by scraping away at it with a knife, like, like so. Here we go. Watch me do something I should have done before the video. Let's just scrape this out here, etc. I'm going to finish that later. So you're going to be spending quite a bit of time, trimming away the flash here, but it doesn't require sanding or anything. It just needs to be sort of scraped off and you're golden. One thing I noticed though, is you see this, I'm pretty sure, like you can see from the discoloration, like here, the tip of this antler broke off. It's not a huge deal because this just goes on his back and you barely see it. But the problem is, see, as you may know, the packaging is this cardboard box, and then it has like all the bigger parts are just basically loose in a big bag of like black bubble wrap, and then the smaller parts are in little Ziploc bags. And the problem is just obviously with this kit, like these big chunks of resin here, they're just sort of rolling around in the box, and that broke this off. So, and I mean, if they're going to do these tiny, fragile, detailed parts, that's one thing that I really think like Creature Caster need to rethink is their packaging. Because what you could do is just have like the box be like, have a divider in the middle, and then have the heavy parts on one side and the smaller stuff on the other side, and you're golden. Um, Now, just to show you quickly, these there's a lot of antlers and you don't get instructions. So what you end up having to do is, if you're an idiot like me and you cut these parts loose before you actually look at the sprues, is you end up having to figure out which goes where, which is really not a problem because, as you can see, like it's very obvious that this hole is the same as this surface. So you just put this in here, and as you can see, it's basically a perfect fit. And the same is true for all of the antlers. I think this one even fits so well that once you have it in, see, it actually snaps in there and stays in place. Also, holes here for magnets if that's what you want to do. And also, I should say about the antlers that the antlers are the only problem really that arises from the lack of instructions. And what you actually get is they're attached to blocks of resin that are marked left and right, and then they're labeled A, B, C, D, which is the order that they go on in. So it's actually not a problem at all. You don't need instructions, and I mean this isn't, it's a lot of parts, but it's not that complicated. The antlers for the head here are all two pieces, and they go together like so. And honestly, look, I mean, you see how nicely the grooves here align. And if you glue this together like this, I don't really think that needs gap filling. I'll see what it looks like when it's primed, but I'm probably just going to leave that. Finally, before we move on to the arms, yeah, two more things. First of all, this thing here that goes on its ass, this is the only part that just does not freaking fit. I trimmed and cut and sanded at it to get it to basically fit like this. Now you can see the rope here more or less lines up with the top, and there's a big gap. Let me see if you can see, there's a big gap here that's going to need filling. And this is after I cut off like a millimeter of material here at the top when I trimmed this down. This is really weird, and I'm pretty sure I got it right because I certainly looked at it and thought about how it's supposed to fit on here enough before I started hacking away at it. But yeah, so this, I mean, it's once it's standing like this, it's not like this is a deal breaker or anything. But this is the one part that I really found didn't really seem to fit the way it's probably supposed to. Faces, you get two options. You get this guy, which is what you see in most of their pictures. And then you get this guy with this sort of messed up mouth, and he's got like one eye is like this is growth over it. They both fit in the same way, which is to say they basically snap in place like this. Plonk, see, and it's in there. You get a little bit of a gap down here, but it's, I don't know, to me it's sort of, it reads as a crease in his fat, so I'm not sure I want to try to fill that because I'm just going to end up losing detail, and this is going to be behind the antlers anyway. See here, so it's I'm not doing anything to this. It sits in pretty tight once you've done what I just did. So what I found is if I want to get it back out, I need a knife, which is kind of my problem now because aside from the fact that you only get one set of antlers, the faces are not really swappable. So you have to pick one and then stick with that one. And I don't really quite know just yet which one I'm going to use. It was originally, like before I got the model, I just said I'm using the messed up one because it just looks more interesting, and this just looks too human for me, really. It just looks like a fat guy with floppy ears. But I really like the depth of the mouth on this one, which this one kind of doesn't have, which is probably going to make it easier to paint, but this just, yeah. You can see how the upper jaw sort of casts a shadow, and I don't know. Haven't made up my mind about that yet. We'll have to soon, though. Okay, so let's see, what's next? Let's do this arm first. First, the really good news is, you see this here? This is the edge of these bandages that he's got around his arm, and this completely, if you get it in place correctly, this completely matches up here, and basically the seam line is the edge of the bandage, and you're done. You don't want to do anything here because you want to have this step. The other thing I wanted to show is the arm, of course, attaches like this, and you do get a bit of a gap here inside the armor, which it kind of reads like it's part of the armor anyway, but this is maybe the one gap that bugs me a little, because if I do decide I want to fix this, it's going to be damn near impossible because I have to reach in there. It's like half a centimeter inside there, and I'm probably just going to make a mess and get putty everywhere, and then I can't get rid of it anymore. So I'm guessing I'm not going to do that. Also, I'm at the moment I'm not sure if I believe that this thing is actually going to stay in place, because with the rest of it on there, it might be too heavy for the glue. The good news about that is, though, this is where this horn goes, which also, by the way, is a totally perfect fit, and it sits inside that hole, so no need for putty there. So since this gets covered up anyway, I'm thinking I might pin this, by drilling a hole through here. You don't even have to putty the drill hole from the pin, because you're just going to put that horn on top anyway, so real easy fix. Now on the hand, what you also need to do is you need to attach these fingers, which, let's see, this one goes here. This is a really, really precise fit. Like, check this out. Boom. It's unbelievable how well this fits. And here, come on, if I can figure it out. Yeah, here as well. Check out how this just, it's just perfect. Absolutely picture perfect. There's a bit of a gap in there, but you're not going to see that. So, also these intestine tentacle things. Wait, I don't think that's the right one. This one? See, this is where instructions would come in handy. No, it's way too thick. It's got to be this one. Of course, this This is rectangular, so it's a little hard to figure out how that's supposed to go on there. What the heck? Well, anyway, I mean, you can see you end up with, you do end up with, okay, this is correct. This fits pretty well, but you can, I mean, there's a gap here that I'm definitely going to have to fill. And the other one, you know, when I got it to, I think this is it. Yeah, see, it fits pretty well too, but you definitely have a gap here. Also, I think it was this one. You can see here where I had to do some sanding. This actually had a pretty massive step here. Looking at it now, I think I'm going to have to take another look at this. This has a pretty massive step here that's basically from a misaligned mold. I mean, you can get rid of that, but the problem is, of course, that you have this sort of ribbed intestinal detail here that you don't want to get rid, that you don't want to lose if you're going to hack and sand away at this. So, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. Anyway, this arm, you see here, this is what I was talking about when I explained why I don't understand why the strap isn't just the seam line. The rope around the arm is the seam line. See? Boom. Looks perfect. Needs no work. And on the hand, same deal. Boom. It's the bandage. And you actually do end up with, you see here, there's a gap here. That kind of bugs me. I'm probably going to fix that because I'm thinking it might be visible. But here, I mean, you want to keep this. It's actually kind of nice that the bandage casts a shadow. It makes it look, gives it some depth. So yeah, that's it. The last thing I can show you is this flail here. Consists of 3 parts, and it's basically the other weapon option. It looks pretty cool because from what I remember, like it sort of sits on the base so that the chain is sort of half dangling off the base. But this, to be honest, I mean, what is that? A spiky disco ball? I don't know. I mean, compare this to this, you know, and just the insane detail you get on here. Yeah, I might use the flail on a bloodthirster conversion or something instead of that stupid hammer that the Games Workshop kit comes with. Anyway, that's it, guys. Conclusion: really good parts fit for definitely for like a garage resin model. It's really kind of amazing how well this stuff fits together. The amount of detail. I mean, just just look at this. He's got like pouches and skulls and pieces of rope and like overgrown skin and horns and boils and here's like chain mail and a strap here with like the rivets and cracked rusty armor that's almost disintegrated and that's just one part that I'm talking about here. It's insane. And you can see, I mean, all this detail, it's really sharp. It's super sharp. This is going to be just a joy to paint. I can't wait, to be honest with you. I really can't wait. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say is I did notice there's quite a bit of mold release on these parts. So when you take them out of the bag, I would strongly recommend you wash them before you handle them at all. Like my fingers got all greasy. And also, the resin is really nice. I mean, I don't know, this isn't going to translate on camera, of course, but it feels almost like plastic, and also like trimming it is really easy. It's just sort of the right mix between, being hard without being brittle. Yeah, obviously the casting is super sharp aside from that one problem with that one gut worm there. The downside to it is, though, I don't know what kind of resin mixture exactly Creature Caster uses, but this stuff smells. Like I've had it out of the box since yesterday. I soaked it in soapy water overnight. I used degreaser on it, and it still stinks. Originally, I thought it was the mold release, but it's the resin, man. It's the stuff. It's just, yeah. That's basically That's the only thing that bothers me, is that the stuff stinks so much. Other than that, I mean, you can see this is just a beautiful miniature. I can't wait to build it. I can't wait to paint it. If you're wondering whether or not this thing is worth your money, it sure as hell is. And I'll talk a bit more about that when I have it assembled and I compare it to some Games Workshop models. In the meantime, though, I had fun making this one, so I hope you guys had fun watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you made it this far. And also, I actually have a Patreon now, which you can check out the link for that in the description below. And hey, pledge $1. Your name will show up in the list if nothing else. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video.